Honestly, there are some major problems with the wedding photography industry. Let's talk about it. Now, when it comes to the wedding industry, it is a different type of beast, especially when it comes to photography. Um, there are a lot of things, a lot of moving parts that goes into a particular shoot. It's not as simple as, and I don't want to say simple, but when it comes to other types of shoot, let's say product photography, you know what I mean? You have all these different people all coming together and they're all looking at you, the photographer, to bang everything out in one take. Make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. You fit their vision, you do X, Y, and Z, and make sure that they had an awesome time on their particular wedding day. It's a lot of pressure. But I've been in this photography space for a while. I've been doing weddings for several years now. And there are some things that have bothered me about the wedding photography industry. And there are some things that I want to try and do to sort of circumvent those particular issues. Now, this isn't a comprehensive list, but this is just something that I've noted, more so anecdotal at best. So take it with a grain of salt, if you will. All right, the number one thing that I've been seeing so much lately is there is an oversaturation of wedding photographers. And I love it because, everybody is getting into the space. Everybody is, trying their hand to do something that they believe that they are good at, or who knows, they may be good at. But with that comes its own problems, right? The market becomes flooded with new photographers. New photographers bring along their own set of prices. They can't charge as much as the working professionals, so they charge a little less. However, when you have this oversaturation of new photographers and they're all charging a little less, the bride and groom may be trying to save some money, they go with them instead. So then it tends to drive the entire market down because everybody's saying, well, this person does it for cheaper. Well, this person does it for cheaper. And then it's a fast race to the bottom. And when it's a fast race to the bottom, we as the artist loses out, right? How do you get around this issue of prices going down and an oversaturation of the market? Number one, you build a brand that stands out. You have to be different from your competitors. Actually, you don't have to necessarily even be better, but you just have to be different enough that the couple that's attempting to hire you resonates with you, right? Do they like the way you move? Do they like the way you talk? When they see you and talk to you and they're conversing with you, are they attracted to your person, not just your photography? Everybody can post a very nice photo. Everybody can. However, not everybody has your personality. And when people have an attraction to your personality, then they are more willing to go with you and hire you over the brand new photographer who may be cheaper by a couple $1,000s, because at least your personality will always shine through. And another way to get around this oversaturation within the market is to use your previous experience. Hell, use testimonials. It's not about just building a brand, but it's also showing them, hey, listen, other people have worked with me and other people have loved it. Reviews on Google, reviews on Yelp, Facebook reviews, blogs about what previous events that you've had in the past. Show them what you do and let them vibe with you. I use that word so much, but sometimes it just sort of hits. Like, people have to vibe with you. People have to understand you as a person and what you bring to the table. And then no matter what, no matter how oversaturated the market is, they will pick you each and every single time. And another one that I'm seeing quite a bit is unrealistic client expectations. Yo, social media has everybody looking like a star. everybody. It has everybody looking amazing. And then clients see this stylized shoot and they're like, that's what I want for my wedding. Those are the type of photos that I want. Not knowing that a lot of those are in controlled settings. Like there's this wedding photographer that I follow on Instagram, takes beautiful photos. I'm not gonna use any names. However, this individual, this company, this group, you could tell it's all stylized shoots. This bride is in an ice cavern and the photos are looking majestic. And I'm like, that's not realistic. However, what people see on Instagram is the perception of perfection. And they want that. And it's unrealistic and it's unobtainable. And how do you get around that problem? In my honest opinion, you got to be upfront with your clients. Look at what their expectations are and set clear boundaries. That if they want something like that, then unfortunately, you might not be able to provide that. Not necessarily because you can't take the shot, you can't get the settings down in the camera, you can't bring the flash and lights and all this other stuff. It's not necessarily that. But on a wedding day, a lot of times it's simply just not feasible. I once had a bride who wanted to do the most on the wedding day. She wanted a photo shoot. She did not want a wedding. She wanted a photo shoot. I tried to oblige because I was a newer photographer at the time. And I felt like a lot of the ideas were half done, half baked, and it didn't turn out. But looking back at the experience, I really should have just been transparent and said, I'm not going to be able to do that because we simply won't have the time to do it. You have so much to do on a wedding day that the moment the wedding starts, you're probably already late. And I didn't set those clear expectations and those clear boundaries that what you're wanting is simply unrealistic and unobtainable. Now, this is something that a lot of probably seasoned pros in the wedding space have had to deal with, and that is burnouts. Just like with any job, things can get a little tiring, right? Like, I mean, damn, you're constantly working with people, you're constantly shooting, things can get tiring. And when it comes to wedding photography, you are constantly always around large groups of people, large crowds of people, and you're always on your feet. The golden number of photo shoots that most wedding photographers want to reach is 40 to 50 weddings in a year. Think about that. 40 to 50 weddings in a year. There are 52 weeks in a year. That means every single weekend, most wedding photographers are trying to get booked. That's going to cause burnout. That's going to cause a decay in your desire to want to do this thing. And it's perfectly understandable. How can you get around this? Number one, you're going to set clear boundaries for yourself. You are going to tell yourself, hey, listen, certain times of the year that you do not want to work. You do not want to do a wedding because you want to focus on family. You want to focus on hanging out with your loved ones. You want to do things that you actually enjoy and not feel obligated to work. It's that obligation that gets us, right? So there's that. Make sure you set clear expectations so you are not driving yourself into the ground and doing the most. And we all know this when it comes to weddings and when it comes to editing a massive amount of photos, the editing process is what is so cumbersome. It's so laborious. It takes so much time. It's annoying, X, Y, and Z, all the above. Outsource that. Outsource all your painful points, all the things that you don't want to do, outsource them. Because then you could actually focus on doing the things that you enjoy, doing the things that you actually love to do. And think about that. Imagine if you had time to just go and shoot the weddings and then you give somebody out there all the photos to edit, and it's on them to edit to your style and to your specifications. And then you bake it into the cost of the wedding. So then you don't even have to worry about it. Like, that's the dream. That's the goal. That's something that I would love to do, to just focus on the day of, do weddings, and then simply just outsource the editing to some editor that I really enjoy. That's what you should focus on. And that's another thing that I'm seeing in this wedding space. This level of toxic competition and this crazy level of gatekeeping. Like, older photographers are sort of slapping down newer photographers for whatever reason because they view them as competition and they don't want them to rise up and stuff like that. You know, I once heard, and this is a controversial take, but I once heard a very seasoned wedding photographer say, if you want to be a second shooter at a wedding of mine, you should pay me. I mean, not even just work for free, but you should pay me to be a second shooter at my wedding. And honestly, I don't know what type of business model that is. However, I feel like that's not giving back to the community. That's just taken away. It's one thing to say, hey, listen, this is like an internship. You are going to work here and you're going to do it for free. There are certain limitations on what you can post and what you can do. However, this is a learning experience for you, but you're not getting paid for it. I understand that. I vibe with that. However, when you're hitting somebody with, you should pay me, it's almost parasitic in nature. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So this one is a mixture of older photographers and newer photographers, right? If you are in the wedding space, build communities, not barriers. Find people that resonate with you and build a community off of that. And newer wedding photographers, I should say, should reach out to those communities. Don't look for the communities that are potentially gatekeeping your experience and preventing you from growing to be your best self. Because although at first it could be very benign at the surface, eventually it'll be very corrosive. You'll start to see the ugly side of photographers. And honestly, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to be a part of that. And lastly, when it comes to wedding photographers, social media has us feeling like we need to do the most, that we need to post on a regular schedule, that we need to do X, Y, and Z. And listen, I believe it to a degree. I do believe that if you are building a business, if you have a brand, sorry about that, if you have a brand, you really need to focus on making that brand public and visible. However, I've seen social media take that creativity, that spark out of people, because then people have to focus on the administrative tasks such as posting, creating reels, creating posts, creating engaging things, so a small subset of people can view their work and they could try and resonate with them and they could try and catch their vibe and all this other stuff. But let's be perfectly honest, when it comes to social media, most people will not get a lot of clients from social media. It's Facebook, sure. Instagram, it's a hit or miss. You know as well as I do, when you post a picture on Instagram, you could spend 30, 40, 50 minutes just editing the most minute details on this picture to make sure that it's absolutely perfect. You post it, it gets maybe five likes, maybe 100 impressions. And then the hot girl at the gym, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, the hot girl at the gym posts a picture of herself half naked with no editing, some crappy filter, and then it gets billions of views, billions of likes. And see, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's not, Instagram, in my honest opinion, is not the place where most photographers will be good at, where most photographers will succeed at. So to let it bog you down and to let it disrupt your flow can sometimes be sort of a pointless point. So for wedding photographers that are new in the space, try and build a content calendar in which you have time in your day, you sit down and you create maybe 20 posts, schedule them all out, engage with your clients when you post them, engage with people, and just always remember that when it comes to Instagram, when it comes to Facebook, that's not the only way you're going to market your content. You're going to build a rock star website that lands on Google, the first page, so people can see your work, they can come to you, and that's how you're most likely going to get your clients, not Instagram. But let me know what you guys think about this. Like, do you guys feel like when it comes to the wedding space, it's easy and you get booked all the time? And if so, yo, drop some tips down in the comments down below, because honestly, I would love to hear. I tend to limit all my weddings throughout the year. I don't want to do a billion weddings. I have actually 2 full-time jobs, and this side business that I have, I don't like to even call it a side business. It's the main business, but this business that I have is something that I make sure that it's something that brings me joy. So I don't want to get burnt out. I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. But if you have some amazing tips, definitely leave it down in the comments down below. Thank you for making it this far in the video. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Make sure you send it out to anybody who may resonate with this type of content. And once again, have a great day. Take care of yourself. And as always, peace? Is that what I say? Anyway, see ya.